appreciate all your being here and staying because we know the plenary has started, and we appreciate your being here with us. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask of any of us about the show or anything?
I do. I got a loud voice.
I know you do.
Because I've been doing this, okay? How was this group selected? I know there's just, all kinds of kids in the high school. How were these people selected?
These are students from the High School for Environmental Studies. They all go to this. It's an inner city public high school here in New York City. Very impressive school. It's won awards. It has a Go Green Initiative, recycling in the schools programs going on, and many other programs. And these ladies are from the Women's Glee Club of the High School for Environmental Studies. Very motivated bunch of ladies.
No kidding.
Yeah. Let me give you. Well, do it anyway for the apparently.
Sharon, this is actually directed to you. I just wanted to ask you,
Slow. Ask a little slower.
in writing the song, Titanic Island, did you have any particular island in mind?
Well, we had heard that there are some of the small island developing states had already been experiencing serious effects from climate change. We're talking again about things that are going to happen in the future, but there are so many things happening now. And we had heard about Vanuatu was having problems and Tuvalu having problems, and we wanted to address that. We thought it's important. This is an educational program that we want to replicate all over the United States and other countries as well. But we thought it was very important for people in this country who don't necessarily realize that they're feeling impacts of climate change to know that when we're consuming all this fossil fuel here in the country, it's impacting many other parts of the world and these people are having to evacuate their homes because they're getting flooded out. So and last year we had a little performance in Conference Room B, and we mentioned Vanuatu and we sang Titanic Island, and a woman, Hildolini, was here from Vanuatu and stood up with tears in her eyes and said, "Thank you so much for doing this song." And unfortunately, she didn't have the funding to be here this year, but we're singing this for Hilda and for all of the people that need us to use our voices to help them.
May I say, Sharon, not only that particular place, but Manhattan Island could be Titanic Island. And that's very true.
Sharon, I know that you have the script and you have the musical score, and they are available for people to use now, I believe, in their communities. How could we get something happening in our own community with this type of a production, and what kind of support do you need to see this happen in other places around the world?
That's a very good question, Robert. Well, we have a special website that's just for Penguins on Thin Ice, and it's penguinsonthin-ice.com. And this is the information's in the programs too. We have the script. We have all the songs are up on the website now, and you can listen to them and you can download them as MP3 files. We also have background information there. And we also understand that not everybody agrees with everything that we've said in this show. We felt strongly that we had to make certain points. Anybody can feel free to talk to us. We're open to being educated. This is an evolving script. As we learn new things and we get new information, this is a growing, it's a living project. So we want to engage in conversations with people. We felt it was really, we needed to get these messages out because there are some things at CSD that we're kind of having, we're talking about energy for sustainable development, but we're talking about a lot of energies where there's a lot of debate on whether they're sustainable energy, and it's frustrating to some of us that we haven't defined what sustainable energy is. We don't really understand how the energy market works and why prices of different types of energy are the way they are. So we want to have that discussion. We have a forum up as well called realenergycosts.com. And you can go to that site and we can have a discussion about this, and we have some people that have been studying energy markets and will be chiming in on that. So thank you very much.
School is out soon. Are you guys taking the show on the road?
Well, they are going to perform some of the songs in their school concert. When's
May 22nd.
May 22nd. And we have to talk because there's a possibility that they may be able to sing at a UN World Environment Day events as well. So we'll have to have a chat about that as that becomes more clear. Oh, Peter.
Sharon, thank you so much.
Yeah, Sharon, thank you so much for your work on this. I know it's been your passion, and you've poured a lot into it over the years, and it's wonderful to see it bearing fruit now. And the performance that all of you did, girls, was fantastic and inspirational. It really stands to move all of us much more than a lot of the talk fest that's going on in the UN right now. We need this in addition to that. And speaking of talk fests, the UN DPI conference is in September, and it's on climate change. And this would be a wonderful addition to complement that. So think about coming back for that.
Very much. Thank you very much. We still have time if anybody has any other.
I wanted to give the students or choir director an opportunity to tell us about anything that happened during your preparations that was special for you, or that you learned from the experience, or that you would like to share with us about it.
During the practice singing and learning the script and everything, Darren was talking about the song about Titanic Island, and I thought it was really important to sing because of human activity and global warming. The islands are being washed away by the water because of the sea level rising. And I thought it was really important to sing that song.
At the beginning, we thought that we were only going to sing songs instead of acting with it. So when we read the script, we were like, what? We were all shocked. We were like, wow, we're going to be acting. And this took a lot of time for us because we had other schedules to do. We were busy. We had sports clubs and everything. And learning the script actually helped me learn a lot about global climate change, how it's really affecting us, and how everyone is starting to wake up and starting to use the Air Clean Act and all these other alliances.
I wonder if the choir director could say a few words.
This is Georgia DeFalco, the choir director for the school, and Jeff Hoppard, who is Jeff is the program manager for the Friends of the High School for Environmental Study, which is a nonprofit support group of the high school. As you know, schools aren't really getting the funding that they need, public schools, and this school is so fortunate to have this program to really help them fill in the gaps and bring creative programs into the school, this sort of informal education, which that teachers are dying to have, and they have all kinds of restrictions, both financial and in terms of having to be very focused on certain types of testing.
We did the show last year without the dialogue in between, and just a selection of the songs. And again, and not to be repetitive, but the islands, I wasn't aware. I didn't know that there was islands. And I love that quote about how they didn't agree to be sacrificial lambs to other larger countries, richer countries that are just. Also, 22 tons. I didn't know about that either. But a lot of the dialogue I learned with the kids, and my eyes are open a little bit more, because even though I work at an environmental high school, I definitely get in my music groove, and I just do my music thing, and we've got a musical theater program and all that kind of stuff. But these kids, the Women's Glee, they started off doing pop music in the fall, and then we did a show like this that's so important, and I think that the kids really came together. They were rehearsing on Saturdays. They were rehearsing, 3 or 4 days a week, and I think that they really pulled it through because they understood the importance of the message. So that's what I say about that.
I would like to thank Jeff, Ricky Falco, and Sharon from All Women's Glee, because they actually helped us learn a lot, and I really feel appreciated to be with you guys and learn a lot, and I really thank you guys.
So today we had this wonderful performance that you have been instrumental in putting together, and it was so wonderful. And then afterwards, I asked the question to have students share about their experience from it, and it was really touching to see what they had to share and how much they learned and appreciated being a part of the performance. And to me, I've been an educator for 25 years. I've worked as a teacher and at the same time, to some extent, as a performing artist, and to hear the kids themselves tell us, how much it meant to them to be a part of it, then we're doing something right with education when that happens.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
That's the way we feel. To do something experiential, and to do something that's fun, and really go deeply into an issue, and go into it on different levels. Not only what do we think about it, how do we feel about it? How does what we do affect other people? How does what other people do affect, and how does that affect us? We tend to talk a lot about things like freedom, and we don't go into, well, what does that mean? How does my freedom affect somebody else's freedom? And the other way around. So when we talk about how we value freedom, just as an example, it's something to just dive into on a deeper level and examine. It's my freedom and your freedom, and how they impact each other, and how we can both have our freedom. So, that's just an example. And climate change, there's so many deep levels on it. And I think that if we have an imbalance in the world, that we need to look at the imbalance in ourselves. And that's what the show helps to communicate, because that's one thing we really don't get to really here on this level. We kind of get stuck in our heads.
You're talking about values and inspiration and that type of thing, and it was touching to me to hear how the audience here responded, and how much they appreciated this performance. We've been here for the past week, going to all kinds of meetings, day in and day out, top levels, people from all around the world that deal with sustainability every year, and the audience here obviously knows this issue of climate change and energy very well. But still, I think we all learned something from the program, and there was just so much appreciation for the kids' involvement in this and the sharing of the message, and it came alive for the audience. And how long can you go to meetings before you need something that's inspirational and touches you at a much deeper heart space? So I'm just really glad that you've done this. I think it's an excellent tool for schools to use to involve their students and to be able to share something back with the community where the school's located.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I'm Sharon Abreu again, Executive Director of Earthlings, and I'm here with Carl Schwartz, who's a former president of the New York City Friends of Clearwater, a very active environmentalist and educator. And Carl was here at our performance of Penguins on Thin Ice at the Dag Hammarskjöld Library Auditorium at the UN this morning.
Well, let me say, first of all, congratulations both to you and to Michael. The two of you have really grown, and I want to tell you, Sharon, I'm really impressed with the fact that, I've been doing this NGO thing with you for several years, and your background, your theatrical, your operatic, your musical background has really been amazing. And it's sort of like you're really bringing an artistic edge to this whole very, very important issue, and just in general to the UN, which I think is really special. And you've done this for a long time. And what you've written on global warming was way before Al Gore got involved with that, way before the world has gotten involved with that. And I think it's really serendipitous, and there's a lot of synchronicity involved in you doing what you're doing, and now the world is catching up with you, Sharon. It's really true. And I'd love to interview you and how you thought of that. And I feel very close to that because, you and I have been friends for a long time, so I'm really impressed with that. And I want to see you be able to take this a lot further, because it's important to get to, not only the children. I want to ask you so many questions about why you thought children were so important, because we know the children are very important, but just to get to the people in general about this. I think we're at a time now where people are finally beginning to understand that we will not have a world if we don't care about and take care of the world that we have, and Mother Earth and everything else. So we're at a very important time, and you're a very important piece of that. And I think you know that, but I think in some ways you don't believe it. But it's really true, Sharon, and I'm really proud of that. And I want to help you in continuing this in that grassroots way. as we've learned from Pete Seeger. So it's really very special, and I thank you for having me be part of this, and I want to continue to be part of this as long as I know you. It will be forever.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Carl.
Sure.
Here I am, Sharon Abreu, once again, Executive Director of Earthlings, and I'm here with Ken Gale, who has a radio program on Pacifica WBAI here in New York called Ecologic. And Ken is a very, very avid environmentalist, particularly knowledgeable about nuclear energy.
Energy in general.
Energy.
Which is because of the global warming that you guys were just singing about. And for all the things like scientists like Jim Hansen are doing good about alerting people to global warming, I think those 10 girls can do more in their 40 minutes than Jim Hansen can do in several hours of a speech.
Bless his heart. And
what's going on.
He's doing a lot.
Yeah, well, I'm picking him because he is doing so much.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that I can compare those 10 girls favorably with somebody like him,
yeah.
I really do mean it. You go to a rally where people are talking about whatever the issue is, and you have a singer doing a song about it, and you leave the rally, and what you remember a lyric of the song, not a line of the speech.
Okay.
And it's very important. I mean, it's not that nobody should ever do a talk about an issue, but I don't think they should ever leave out the music about that issue. Now, I know you songwriters will take hours to get down to the 3 minutes that we're here, but the point is, we get 3 minutes, and you get it down. It's poetry, and it's very important. And I know that whenever I do an episode of Ecologic and I have kids on this show, and I take listener phone calls, the listeners are so happy to hear kids talking about the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they don't have anything to ask, they don't have anything to say, they just want to say how happy they are that these kids are just so incredible in some way. And there's an awful lot of incredible kids out there.
Yes.
There's a lot of them. I mean, you just only got 10 of them.
Right.
And it is so cool because, you know, people love to say all kids ever do is play video games and, you know, whatever. All high school kids do is show off their guns in school. Well, that's not true. But the point is, you hear it so often on commercial radio. Yeah, commercial radio. But that people start to believe that that's what kids are like. And so you have proof, and it's not one kid proving that cliche wrong. You've got 10 kids. And you had your back to the audience because you were watching the kids, but the audience really got into it. They were happy to watch this. And every time there was the slightest bit of mistake, they just loved it because it showed it was real. It was heartfelt. It wasn't like this technical proficiency and do they really mean it or not. You know, there was this feeling that they meant it.
Yeah.
You know, through the shyness, and I think that's a big part of the success of this. So,
Right.
you know, I hope the kids don't lose that either.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the thing. Kids often don't feel that they have a voice. I know some really caring young people that are in high school, in college, and they are depressed about the state of the world and what is being handed to them. And so we want to, you know, when we educate, we also inspire, we also empower, we also engage.
And somebody pointed out at the Building Energy Conference in Boston in March that if you also look at the mass media reports, and somebody analyzed this in England, that they talk about the bad news, never about the solutions. Despite the fact that there's so many solutions in renewable energy and more efficient cars, more efficient appliances,
Right.
you know, power strips and everything else that you could do right now, you can do it today. But they'd only report the bad news, no solutions. So people are going to get depressed about it. And the
Right.
kids, what are they going
And
to
they
get
just
told?
go shopping.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should wrap up, but I want to thank you so much for the very, very important comments, and we really appreciate it.
And I want to thank you.
Thank you so very
And
much.
really, take the show on the road.
Hey,
Yeah.
we will
Yeah.
do that. Thank you very much.